is How to Do the Work by Nicole Lepera, also known as the holistic psychologist. I've been following the holistic psychologist on Instagram for, I want to say, like 5 years. She's absolutely amazing, like honestly life-changing for your healing journey, and just like questioning so many of the behaviours and the things that you do. I've been on a healing journey, like an emotional healing journey, for quite some time now, for a number of years, and she's been like instrumental in my journey basically. So this is one of her books. I believe she now has 3 books, but I've got 2 of her books. I'll get onto the other one in a minute. But it's called How to Do the Work, and it's kind of like a guidebook on starting to do the work to heal yourself, like heal yourself basically, like your emotional healing journey, or like begin to heal yourself. There's some like really amazing sort of topics discussed in here, from like childhood trauma to like sort of you are not your thoughts, grounding work. There's like loads of exercises and like resources so that you can start doing your like emotional, like healing your emotional wellness. There's trauma bonding. There's a lot of things about trauma, because obviously like trauma, as a lot of people probably know, has a massive impact on you in adulthood and in your like future life, essentially, like from quite a young age, like childhood trauma and stuff, and life trauma. But yeah, there's so many things in here that are just amazing, and it is kind of one of those books where you have to read it to like grasp it. Like, I don't think there's anything I could say that, you know, like would, I don't know, there's nothing I could say that would make you maybe want to read it. Like, you have to want to do the work. Like, you need to want to change these behaviours about you that are maybe like causing you bad mental health issues, or they're very self-destructive and are harming your relationships around you. Because like once you start doing like more work to emotionally heal yourself, you can't see a life, at least in my experience, you can't see a life where you wouldn't be like that anymore. And I think understanding like that there's such a depth to life, and thinking about your life more, thinking about why you're the way you are, changing your behaviours for the better for you, is just like, it's just an incredible thing that I can't really put into words, and this book encompasses a lot of that, and it's really helped me on my journey. So I really recommend that people give this a read. But I also think that maybe if you're not like a big reader, maybe follow the holistic psychologist on Instagram, because she shares a lot of like snippets, like very frequently, and little insights into like questioning your behaviours, questioning why you're the way you are, and like sort of like advice on how to improve that. So if you're not ready to like read the book yet, because it is quite intense, I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like if you are wanting to delve more into emotional wellness and your healing journey, I'd really recommend that you follow her on Instagram. I'll link her Instagram in the description, and really just like absorb what she says on there first. But yeah, this book is incredible, and I would recommend it to anyone who, if you are already on a healing journey and you've never heard of some lovely like design work that's gone into this, and I just feel like it's really interesting to read. There's a lot of things about like affirmations in here as well, and like just so much stuff. Look, so pretty, like it's so gorgeous, and like really looking internally, like I would say it's quite heavily spiritual as well, but I feel like a lot of internal work that you end up doing does actually end up being quite spiritual. Talking about like emotional regulation, understanding how you feel, and regulating, self-soothing, that sort of thing. So there's so much stuff in here, so much amazing stuff, and I would definitely recommend you give that a read. I know that the Holistic Psychologist has a third book, but I haven't got round to getting that yet, but I definitely will be getting that because her books are honestly incredible and kind of life-changing, to be honest. So they're the two first books that I want to talk about. The next book I want to talk about is Beating Endo. I don't know if I've actually spoken about this book on here so far. I might have actually spoken about this already, so I apologise if you've already heard me talking about it. I do get quite bad brain fog, so I actually don't know when, sometimes I've spoken about something. Obviously, this is an endometriosis book. This isn't going to be for everyone, but this is honestly so interesting. If you are someone with endometriosis, or you know someone, a loved one in your life who has endometriosis, I would definitely recommend you get this book because there are so many different aspects and like research and different angles within this and things to take away about helping your endometriosis. And whilst for me personally, not everything in here is like applicable to me, like not everything I'm going to be able to do, there is a lot of stuff in here that I've started to implement and seen a lot of a difference. There's also like mass connections between chronic illness and mental health, which is understandable, and links to stress and how that plays an impact on your body. And like if you have endometriosis, it's an inflammatory condition, so there's like a lot of factors that contribute to your inflammation, including stress and like mental health factors, and this book kind of like lays everything out into like nice chapters so you can kind of break it down. It is quite overwhelming. It did take me almost, I want to say like 9 months to read this book from the day I got it, just because again, like the other two, like you do have to take your time when you read a non-fiction book, at least in my case, because I want to absorb what's being said and take something away from it. But it is a really incredible book, and if you are someone who's like kind of feeling a bit lost with your endometriosis and it's kind of like, I don't really know what to do, it can feel very overwhelming, and I really understand that. But I think just reading something like reading this book is just, even though I can't do everything in the book because I don't have the resources, just understanding what options and what potential pathways are out there for me is honestly just like the most amazing thing. And I just found it really, really interesting to read about and like learn so much about endo as well, because there's so many things in here that I just didn't know before about endometriosis. So I also think if you, like I say, if you're a loved one who is willing to put the time into reading something like this, I would definitely recommend it if you can have the time, because I think it will really help you understand how endometriosis behaves for your loved one, and it will be like a really supportive like thing for them, I think. So yeah, I absolutely love this book, and yeah, I don't know if I'll read any other endo books because I don't want to overwhelm myself with information, but this was recommended to me through social media, and I'm so glad I got it because it was well worth getting, and it's really, really worth the read, in my opinion, if you obviously have endo. Obviously that's not going to be for everyone, but I have to talk about it because, even though it's fairly niche, like it's a big part of my life. So yeah, definitely recommend Beating Endo if you haven't read it already and you suffer with endo or know someone who does. The last book, again, it's a bit of a niche, but I feel like obviously But I actually think I would still recommend that people read this, even if you aren't poly. So this is Poly Secure. I actually haven't even finished this book yet. I know that sounds really like ridiculous. I'm like a smidgen of the way through, but I know I'm gonna absolutely love this towards the end. I got this for my birthday. I think I've actually spoken about this. Maybe I didn't. I might have spoken about it on a different like channel or social media, but it's called Polysecure, and it is about attachment theory and non-monogamy, consensual non-monogamy, like polyamory. And I mean, if you didn't know, like I'm polyamorous. I have been polyamorous for a number of years now, but I've never read any like books on polyamory. I've engaged with a lot of content in other forms around polyamory, but I've never had a poly book. But as far as I'm aware, this is the first ever book about polyamory that also relates to attachment theory. So what I mean when I say, like, I think even if you're not polyamorous, or maybe you're interested in polyamory but are maybe not too sure, I would still recommend you read this, because the information around attachment theory is so interesting, and it just really opens my eyes into how childhood attachment and our experiences at childhood from our caregivers have a massive impact in our like adult attachment theory, and then like consequently polyamory as well. So I'm finding it really interesting, and I'm already seeing the connections in the book to polyamory, even though like the chapters haven't gone on to explain that yet. Again, like the other books, I have to take my time to read this. I have to be in the right headspace, and I can't read it all the time because like my brain fog, my chronic illness and stuff, like brain fog is a really big part of that, and I do want to like make sure when I am reading things that I'm sitting down and I'm reading them like properly, if that makes sense, and like actually absorbing the information. So yeah, I absolutely love this so far. Again, like I say, I'm not even halfway through, but I know I'm gonna absolutely love it, and yeah, I just can't wait to finish it and like to, you know, sort of see what else they talk about within attachment theory. Like I say, like I've been polyamorous for a long time now, and I've worked through a lot of stuff, but I think attachment theory is definitely something I haven't really delved or like cross-referenced with polyamory, and I think it'll be a really like, by the time I finish this, it'll be like a really eye-opening thing that I take into my future polyamorous connections in life. So if you are polyamorous or are interested in polyamory, I would definitely recommend reading this, because it's just really fascinating. Like I think even on all spectrums of polyamory, like I know people who have read this that are like very early on in their polyamory like journey, people who are interested in polyamory but not quite sure. I think it would be really good for those sorts of people actually, and also people who have been polyamorous for a long time. I think wherever you are in your journey, I think it's really important to like still research and still be inquisitive and curious, at least for me anyway, about different types of things and how you can like improve and nurture your like connections more healthily. And I think like just learning is obviously like, learning is just beautiful. Like I love learning about things, especially things to do with like trauma and psychology and why we are the way we are and how we can improve to better ourselves, to live a more healthy life. Like you'll see that that's like a common theme with my non-fiction books, but like I just love learning about things that might help me to improve my life. So I would definitely recommend this if you are polyamorous or interested in polyamory. And honestly, even if you're not, like even if you know that you don't want to be polyamorous, I think it will be eye-opening to you, like to understand why you are the way you are, and also just understand polyamory a bit more, because I think there's like a lot of misconceptions around polyamory when someone with a lot of people who aren't polyamorous. But I think if you're curious to even learn, that's a really big thing, and it will really open your eyes to like a wider world beyond the world of monogamy, even if you want monogamy. Do you know what I mean? Because monogamy is like absolutely fine. Like I would never want to push polyamory on anyone, but like So yeah,